Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody who's watching this video. My name is Anthony Wilkinson. I am one of our leads of our solution engineering department here at Hack the Box, and I am joined today by Trey, one of my colleagues. Trey, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Trey Robinson, solution engineer at Hack the Box, and we're going to walk through our new Detection and OpSec Cyber Range today.
Yep. And I think why we are highlighting this today is it's a really exciting drop in our academy. It is an extension of one of the most recent Purple Team learning modules that was produced a few months ago. You know, the fun excitement about this new academy module is that we are giving those newcomers, beginners to offensive and defensive security, as well as those seasoned professionals, an actual cyber range that they could spawn and practice specific attacks, maybe leveraging, you know, APT groups and something that would align to MITRE, think TTPs. Both of the machines within the cyber range have been preloaded with specific offensive and defensive tool sets, so that either if you're coming at this from a defensive mindset, you could play, you could learn, you could practice detection, engineering, threat hunting. If you're coming at it from an offensive mindset, you could totally leverage something like Atomic Red Team, which is pre-installed on both of the logging VM templates within the range. You could also conduct your own attacks against each machine. So kind of with that being said, this is a new module. It does exist in our Academy product. And today we are going to walk you through a little demonstration of the Detection and OpSec Cyber Range. I will highlight that there are two specific cyber ranges. We have one that focuses on using an enterprise grade SIM like Splunk, another one using Wazuh. So we have two different flavors for, you know, whatever scenario you want to attack or defend with your team, or really turn this into a true purple teaming exercise. So let me kick it over to Trey. Trey, why don't you walk us through kind of the value prop and the what and why behind this Academy module?
Yeah, so this is a cyber range. You can do whatever you'd like with it. What's really cool about that for your red teamers is if you have custom payloads or some malware you'd like to test out, you can clear out all the Splunk logs, blow up the malware, and see what it generates. So it's really going to help with your OpSec and determining what you're leaving behind when you generate your payloads. For the blue teamers, you might not know how to exactly hack into machines, but we use Atomic Red Team, which uses MITRE TTPs and actually does the attack simulations. What that can do is allow a blue teamer to actually execute an attack that generates the logs, so that you're able to go find all of those logs, or do some threat hunting in Splunk or Wazuh, and you can take all of that knowledge into your enterprise or your day-to-day operations. So that's what it's really about, learning how to detect different types of TTPs, bring that over into the workplace.
100%. And, you know, by us producing this within an Academy module and, you know, creating this range for you, it's in a safe place. It's in a sandboxed environment. So, you know, you don't have to worry about breaking production network or screwing something up that you shouldn't have touched within your enterprise network. So let's dive into the module. We're going to give a quick run through of one of the scenarios today, leveraging Splunk. But before we do that, I wanted to share kind of the look and feel of the module. Just like every Academy module, there will be an introduction page. On the right side of my screen here, you will see 3 different chapters. I want to highlight chapter 1 here because chapter 1 introduces you to the cyber range, and there is also a very key component about this particular Academy module, and the range is the prerequisite knowledge. This has a lot of useful information about the range. Now, I keep saying range because there are multiple VMs and pieces of technology that will spawn when you go to play this. For those of you that are very technical driven and have that mindset on really looking, you know, understanding network topography, we have network diagrams, we have username, passwords, machine names, we have all that listed in the prereq knowledge. But what I wanted to do is switch over to our first scenario here and kind of walk through the network diagram and what you could expect when you spawn this range. Here is the network topology. So when you actually spawn any of the scenarios in the Splunk cyber range, by default, you're going to get 4 VMs that you're going to have access to. Kind of starting from the top here is we're going to have a Windows box. And as you could see, some of these services that are very important for interacting with the machine are enabled RDP, SSH, WinRM, and the host name is the logging VM. And we call this the Windows Purple Team target. Beneath that, you'll see the Academy Range Linux target, which SSH is enabled. We call this the Linux Purple Team target. One thing to note is we do have Splunk forwarding and log collection enabled on both of these targets. So if you happen to log into these targets and start attacking them, all logs will be forwarded through the NIDs, as you could see, Seratica and Zeek, forwarding all logs over to Splunk as well, and you will have full access to the Splunk SIM, as well as the Academy Range NIDS, Network Intrusion Detection System, or NIDS. You do have access to logging to that as an administrator as well. Now, I just wanted to kind of highlight the flow of the cyber range. You could pick and choose what you want to do. I could come into this range and I can, start messing around with the Windows machine, the Linux machine. Again, there are pre-installed tools, offensive and defensive tools on both of these machines. Trey mentioned it earlier, so did I. We've pre-installed Atomic Red Team on both the Windows and Linux machines so that you can emulate those APT style attacks against really common TTPs that exist on MITRE. So kind of moving along here, Trey, why don't you give us a little introduction into the first kind of scenario we're going to start to play?
Yeah, so the first scenario today, we're going to detect T1014 on Linux. So what that is from the blue team side, we're just trying to find some system calls that are a little bit malicious here. And I think Anthony's going to be that attacker today. He's going to run Atomic Red Team. He's just going to SSH into the Linux machine, SSH into the Windows machine, run the attack on the Windows machine. And then what we're going to do on the blue team side is go find those logs within Splunk.
Yep, 100%. And one thing to note too is, Trey and I, we're in the same company. We're on the same enterprise platform. But it only requires one of us to actually spawn the target to interact with this range. I have elected not to spawn the target in this Academy module because him and I are on the same VPN server within our company's enterprise platform. Now, Trey has already elected to spawn this lab. So Trey, if you want to kind of show everyone on your screen what we're talking about here, I'll switch over to my home box so we could start playing here.
Yeah, let me bring that up for you. All right, so you'll actually notice here in that T1014 module, when you spawn the targets, you'll get a set of 4 IP addresses and host names. How this is going to be set up is these are what you're going to interface with via Pwnbox or your OpenVPN, your own virtual machine if you'd like. The internal IP addresses, however, you're going to have to refer back to the network diagram in the prerequisites module. Because that's going to be on a 172 network, and that's going to be Ethernet 1. So keep in mind, we're looking at 10.129 addresses, but the addresses that are going to be forwarded to the SIM, it's going to be a 172 network.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm logged in on my home box, and I'm going to interact with the Linux machine. I know, Trey, you've already pulled up Splunk on your system, but if we put focus on my terminal here, I'm going to SSH into what we call the Academy Range Linux machine, which is running Ubuntu. The host name is Ubuntu. I'm going to SSH here, root. And if we refer back to the Academy module prerequisite, we will have a password and credential list. I already have it kind of saved here in a document. It is the same password for both administrator and root of both of these VMs that you can interact with. Okay, so you can see I am root on this Ubuntu box. I can never say Ubuntu, right? On this Linux machine. If I do a little ls here, look at the directory, you will see some tools installed, and we are going to narrow in on Atomic Red Team. So following along with the Academy module, you could follow along and practice some of the APT attacks that are listed in the module, or you could do whatever you'd like with this machine. Remember, there is login enabled here, and everything is getting forwarded to the SIM, which is Splunk. I'm going to change directory here into Atomic Red Team, and then I am going to drop into PowerShell on Linux. all you do is run pwsh. Let's see, we are in the correct container. Now I'm going to import the PowerShell script used for Atomic Red Team. So import module. And you can see I've already ran this, so I'm just going to tab over. Boom. Now I have imported the Atomic Red Team PowerShell script module, and now I can execute any of the Atomic Red Team pre-built scripts. You could follow online through their extensive documentation in their library, or you could follow through along with our Academy module. In this particular one, we are going to be using a test label T1014, which is in the Academy module if we're following along. So I'm going to invoke this test, hit enter. It's going to run. And now, without using a command called -show details on the end of this atomic test that I'm executing, I really can't see all of the juicy stuff that this command is running. However, I will run it just to show everybody here, -show details. And this will show you what the actual test is doing in the background. So you could see the commands that are being ran against this Linux machine, all the way down here to where it copies an evilscript.py. Just keep in mind, anytime you use the flag -show details, it is just detailing or previewing all of the commands that are being executed in this Atomic Red Team script. Once you remove that flag -show details, the test will run like it did earlier. So now, Trey over here, we're playing in the same lab. He could bring up, or he should have brought up already, Splunk.
Yeah, so I'm currently in Splunk. What I did is navigated to the search and reporting page. If you're familiar with Splunk, you should definitely know this environment. If not, this is how you get to it. So what we're going to query for right now are just some system calls. We're going to search the source audit D within Linux. Just going to paste that in here. We're going to search for it. And it looks like we have 10 results. So we see here in opt, we've got PowerShell, got sysmon, nmap. Not much looks too bad, but I mean, if you see an evilscript.py, that requires further investigation. So I would say we definitely want to take a look at that one. So we're going to continue to query. And once we do submit the query, we do get a return with connect. So this obfuscation here, it's clearly connect. That's the syscall.
Yeah, and another great thing too about this cyber range, I'm sharing my screen where I'm logged into the Linux machine and I'm executing just an automated attack pre-built by Atomic Red Team. Trey is on the blue side. He's logged into the SIM. We're on the same network. I can log into the SIM as well. So on my screen here, you'll see I am logged into the same exact SIM he is in. So this is where we can take, a consideration of maybe someone who's an advanced red teamer and they just want to get into the SIM. They want to practice executing attacks and just watching in real time. You could see that I already kind of pre-populated a search in this SIM to look for that evil script that was executed. But this is just to show you that, Trey and myself, we could access all of the same resources within this cyber range. All right, I am going to now skip along into an attack using the Windows VM. So again, if we go back to this network diagram here, you will see we have both a Linux VM and a Windows VM that can be used for executing attacks. Now I'm going to RDP into the Windows machine, which I've already queued up for everybody's pleasure, just to zoom things along very quickly. And I will RDP. Of course, you could use WinRM or SSH if you'd like. I am logged into this Windows machine. One thing I wanted to highlight before we actually get into executing an Atomic Red Team attack, it's going to be a different attack this time. We're going to execute an attack, which is pretty common for malicious actors when they've established presence on a system, and it's creating a new local account and adding them to a privileged group like local administrators or if the machine was actually joined to a domain, maybe like a domain admins or global administrators group. I've mentioned this a few times on the video, but both the Windows VM and the Ubuntu Linux VM come with tools. These tools cover defensive security, offensive security. If somebody wanted to come in here and execute an attack on their own, but at the same time wanted to take a memory dump, come in here and leverage the tools to do that, and then maybe go analyze it with something like volatility. It's all at your fingertips here. With that being said, I will continue on in the demo here. So let's change directory to the C drive, and you should see we have, there it is, Atomic Red Team. I'm going to change directories. And then I'm going to import the module that we need. Cool. Okay, so now we are going to invoke a Atomic Red Team test against this Windows machine, emulating an APT group. That would be leveraging a specific tactic of creating local accounts to establish persistence and hopefully add this account to a privileged group. I'm going to invoke this test. So I've executed the atomic test predefined against T.1136, which is a minor tactic and technique. You could see I created a new Windows admin user. I will run this again and show the details so that you can see exactly what was done. Now, these are the commands an attacker would script. They would either run this through the command line if they had local access. Maybe you would create a batch file. But you can see net user add, username, password, net user add, here's the username, here's the password, and then we added that user to the local group administrators. We just executed this Atomic Red Team, simulated script. Now, in real time, Trey should be able to show detection of that using the Splunk SIM.
Yeah, so let's go back over to Splunk here. Let's get rid of this old query. We don't need that anymore. What we're going to search for now is really just looking for account creations. Again, we have the privilege today to know what kind of attacks were run. So it makes it very easy on the blue team today. So I'm going to go ahead and search for this. And we do get one result here. We have administrator, the new account and account name is this T1136.001 admin. So that would be our new account that was created. And if we wanted to continue searching, just query a little bit more, we could continue digging with this command. And you'll get a little more results. We've got the that T1136 account here. We've got it here again. And you can continue to dive into the activity of this account if you'd like. But we found the results of the attack.
Not easy. Now, of course, we could go unscripted, which is a nice thing about this range. We don't have to follow along within the Academy modules. So, for example, I'm clicking through, the practical scenarios for Splunk. Yes, we're giving you 4 different options. You can detect, T1014 on Linux. So we'll give you two flavors of attacks using the Linux VM and 2 flavors of the attacks using Windows. Of course, we're walking you through how to leverage something like Atomic Red Team. For those that may not have the experience in actually attacking the machine, or just want to use, the usability, it's very easy to go in and just execute an attack in real time. Now, outside of that, the range is built to be adaptive to, if I want to try something new, or if I want to mess around with my own software, maybe like I wrote a malicious script and I want to test it out, you're more than welcome to do that. And that's the beauty of this range. So one thing I'm going to do just to kind of gently just show that use case is I'm still logged in via SSH to our Linux machine. Now, since we have login enabled on both machines, everything again is being forwarded to SIM. Maybe Trey and I are working together and I'm trying to understand what it looks like in a SIM if I'm just doing a basic port scan of a machine as a pen tester or red teamer, right? Maybe I've never actually really understood what that looks like over the wire. So I could come in here from this Linux machine and say, okay, I'm going to throw just a a real quick Nmap scan. I'm gonna make it very aggressive and loud. I'm gonna scan the internal IP of the Windows machine .2, and we're gonna make sure we make this scan run very quickly. And there we go. I'm executing just a basic aggressive Nmap scan. Within a couple minutes here, this scan should finish. But really what I'm doing is, from an offensive mindset, I'm just trying to understand, like, what does this look like over the wire? So as this is executing in real time, Trey over here can log into the SIM and start to do a little bit of threat hunting or a little bit of, analysis on the network, leveraging Splunk to see what is going on. We'll give this. So there you go. Scan finished. Looks like I detected 2 ports on this Windows machine. I got a lot of good information about it. Actually, 3 ports: SSH, RDP, HTTP on port 8000, running a web server. Go ahead, Trey. Is there anything you could potentially pull up on your end now, after just me being the hacker here probing your system?
Yeah, we'll check. So if you look on the left side, I have some notes here. So these are the 4 IPs for this cyber ops range that we have. I'd highly recommend just create a little basic notes document and keep all your IPs and credentials in order. It's just going to help you, so you don't have to keep going back and forth. And then if you look a little further down, it says ETH1. So these are those 172 addresses, because as we're looking at some of these logs, it's going to be 172. And so let's go ahead and search and see if we can find the port scan. We're going to clean this up a little bit. Although we don't have to, it's just easier to see exactly what we're doing. So let's go ahead and search and see what kind of results we get. And Anthony, you were scanning from the Linux machine, so the 203 address, and you were scanning the Windows machine, right?
Correct, 200.2.
Okay, so let's see what we have here in the number destination port. Okay, so we've got 1,000 here, which looks that's significant, and it's coming from the source of the .3, which is our Linux machine, and we're targeting the Windows machine. So we found the port scan, and for blue teamers, keep digging. You can keep working with your red teamers and simulate some other attacks. Red teamers, you can clear the Splunk logs in the admin panel, which we didn't really talk about earlier, but in the prerequisites and the credentials page, you do have full admin access. So I'd recommend going in there, clearing out the logs, do a scan, see what happens, run a payload, see what happens, keep clearing those out. Yeah, but we found the scan.
100%. Yeah, that's the beauty of the cyber range here. So yeah, I think for today we'll close up with there is another scenario that we'll go through next, and that is the cyber range that leverages Wazuh instead of Splunk. Just to give you a quick peek into what that would look like, we shared the network diagram of the Splunk cyber range, and if I scroll down here very quickly in our prerequisite, you will see, just in a new tab, the range built using Wazuh and the Hive. Again, you'll see a similarity that when you spawn this range, you're going to get access to the same Windows and Linux VMs that will be sending logs across the wire for your threat hunting and detection needs. But yeah, in closing, I'd like to just offer a bit of advice that just remember that each one of these purple targets that we've developed here at HackTheBox, again, they can be used and abused. They have lots of tooling pre-installed. Go ahead and break it. At the end of the day, if you really do break a machine, just reset the lab and respawn it. It's there for your learning and development. So thanks everybody for joining our little demonstration.
Thanks everybody.